The discovery. The harsh winds of Kepler 186 had howled across the barren landscape, whipping up clouds of rusty dust that obscured the dim light of the distant red dwarf star. Dr. Samantha Chen squinted through her helm's visor, adjusting the settings to compensate for the poor visibility. Her team of 5 had been scouring this desolate world for weeks, searching for signs of the ancient civilization that supposedly once thrived here. "Another day, another dust storm," grumbled Derek, the team's geologist, his voice crackling through the comm system. "I'm starting to think this whole mission is a wild goose chase." Samantha sighed, understanding her colleagues' frustration. They had come to Kepler 186f with high hopes, following traces of anomalous energy readings and tantalizing hints in fragmented alien data caches. But so far, their expedition had yielded little more than rocks and disappointment. "Let's give it one more day," she replied, trying to inject some optimism into her voice. "We'll check out that mountain range to the north. And if we don't find anything, we'll call it quits." As the team trudged northward, the terrain grew increasingly treacherous. Jagged rock formations jutted out of the ground like the teeth of some monstrous creature, and deep crevasses threatened to swallow the unwary. It was slow going, but Samantha pushed on, driven by a gut feeling that they were close to something important. It was Zora, their xenobiologist, who first spotted it. "Hey, guys," her excited voice cut through the comm chatter. "I think you need to see this." The team converged on Zora's position, and as they crested a small rise, they saw it, a massive structure, half buried in the side of a mountain. Its smooth, dark surface stood in stark contrast to the rough, reddish rock surrounding it. It was unmistakably artificial. "Holy shit," whispered Derek, all his earlier cynicism forgotten. "We actually found something." As they approached the structure, Samantha's sensors began to light up. "I'm picking up energy readings," she announced, her heart racing. "Faint, but definitely there. Whatever this thing is, it's still active after all this time." The team spent the next few hours carefully examining the exterior of the structure. It was roughly cylindrical, about 30 meters in diameter, and stretching up into the mountain as far as they could see. There were no visible seams or joints in its construction, as if the entire thing had been molded from a single piece of material. "Look at this," called out Miguel, their xenoarchaeologist. He was pointing at a series of intricate patterns etched into the surface of the structure. "These symbols, they're like nothing I've ever seen before, but they seem to be concentrated around this area here." As the team gathered around, they noticed a slight depression in the otherwise smooth surface. It was subtle, but unmistakably deliberate. "It's a door," Samantha breathed. "Or at least I think it is. But how do we open it?" They tried everything they could think of. They scanned it with every device they had, attempted to decipher the alien symbols, and even resorted to pushing and prodding at the depression. Nothing worked. As the planet's weak sun began to set, casting long shadows across the landscape, Samantha made a decision. "We need to call this in," she said. "Whatever this thing is, it's way beyond our capabilities. We're going to need a bigger team, more equipment, and probably a lot more time." That night, as the team huddled in their temporary shelter, the gravity of their discovery began to sink in. They had found clear evidence of an advanced alien civilization, one that had mastered technology far beyond humanity's current understanding. It was everything they had hoped for when they set out on this mission, and more. But as Samantha lay in her bunk, staring up at the ceiling, she couldn't shake a nagging feeling. The energy readings from the structure, while faint, were constant and unchanging. It spoke of a power source that had endured for who knows how long, perhaps thousands or even millions of years. "What are you?" she whispered to herself. "And what were you built for?" Little did Samantha know that their discovery was about to change the course of human history. The structure they had found was not just a relic of a long-dead civilization. It was a key to a vast network that spanned the galaxy, and humanity had just taken its first step towards unlocking it. As news of the discovery spread, the scientific community erupted with excitement. Governments scrambled to organize larger expeditions, and soon, Kepler 186 became the focal point of the greatest concentrated scientific effort in human history. But despite the influx of brilliant minds and cutting-edge technology, the alien structure remained stubbornly inert. Its secrets lay tantalizingly out of reach, protected by mechanisms that seemed to defy the laws of physics as humanity understood them. It would take an unlikely hero, armed with nothing more than human ingenuity and a simple tool, to finally crack the code that had stumped the greatest minds of Earth and beyond. But that was a story yet to unfold, waiting just around the corner of human destiny. The challenge. 6 months after Dr. Samantha Chen's team made their groundbreaking discovery on Kepler 186f, the barren planet had been transformed into a hive of activity. A sprawling research base now surrounded the alien structure, unofficially dubbed the obelisk, by the scientists and engineers who worked tirelessly to unravel its mysteries. Dr. Chen stood at the window of the command center, watching as yet another ship descended from the rusty sky. This one bore the insignia of the Galactic Scientific Consortium, a coalition of the most technologically advanced species in known space. It was the latest in a long line of delegations to arrive, each believing they held the key to unlocking the obelisk's secrets. "Another batch of eggheads," grumbled a voice behind her. Samantha turned to see Derek, her old teammate, now head of geological studies for the project. 10 credits says they'll be stumped within a week, just like all the others. Samantha sighed. "We have to keep trying, Derek. The energy readings from the obelisk are getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's waking up. We need to understand it before it does something." As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Samantha rushed to the main console, her heart racing. "Report," she barked. A young technician, his face pale, looked up from his screen. "It's the obelisk, Doctor. The energy output just spiked by 200%, and we're detecting movement." Samantha's mind reeled. In 6 months, despite their best efforts, they hadn't been able to so much as scratch the obelisk's surface. And now, suddenly, it was active. She keyed the facility-wide comm system. "All personnel, this is Dr. Chen. We have an active event at the obelisk. I need all team leads at the site immediately." This is not a drill. Within minutes, Samantha was standing before the obelisk, surrounded by a mix of human and alien scientists. The massive structure was humming now, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. The intricate symbols etched into its surface were glowing with a soft, pulsating light. A tall, willowy alien stepped forward. Ambassador Zixith of the Aetherian Collective, one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. "Dr. Chen," it said, its voice a melodious trill, "I believe we may have a solution. Our quantum resonance scanners have detected a dimensional anomaly within the structure. With your permission, we'd like to attempt to stabilize it." Samantha hesitated. The Aetherians were renowned for their mastery of higher dimensional physics, but their technology was so advanced it bordered on magic to human understanding. If something went wrong. Before she could respond, another voice cut through the tense atmosphere. "Hold up there, fancy pants. Before we start poking at things we don't understand, maybe we should try a more direct approach." All eyes turned to the newcomer. He was human, dressed in a battered jumpsuit that had seen better days. A toolkit hung from his belt, and he was idly tossing a strange-looking device from hand to hand. "And you are?" Samantha asked, a mix of irritation and curiosity in her voice. The man grinned, revealing a chipped front tooth. "Name's Jack O'Neill. I'm a technician. Was supposed to be fixing the plumbing in Hab Block C, but this seemed more interesting." Ambassador Zixth's bioluminescent patterns flickered in what Samantha had learned was an expression of disdain. "This is hardly the time for levity, human. We are dealing with technology beyond your comprehension." Jack's grin didn't falter. "Maybe. But sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. You eggheads have been trying to talk to this thing for months. Maybe it just needs a good whack to get it going." Before anyone could stop him, Jack strode up to the obelisk. He placed his hand on the surface, closed his eyes for a moment, then took out a small tool from his pocket. A simple, bent piece of metal. "Jack, wait," Samantha called out, but it was too late. With surprising precision, Jack inserted the metal piece into a nearly invisible seam in the obelisk's surface. There was a moment of tense silence, then a soft click. Suddenly, the humming intensified, and the glowing symbols began to shift and change. Jack stepped back, a look of surprise on his face. Didn't actually think that would work. The assembled scientists watched in awe as a seam appeared in the obelisk's surface, widening into a doorway. Beyond it, they could see a corridor stretching into darkness, lined with the same glowing symbols. Ambassador Zixth's bioluminescence had shifted to a pattern Samantha had never seen before. "Impossible," it whispered. "How did you?" Jack shrugged, twirling his improvised tool between his fingers. "Sometimes all you need is a bit of human ingenuity and a trusty paperclip." As the implications of what had just happened began to sink in, Samantha felt a mix of emotions wash over her. Excitement at the breakthrough, amazement at the seemingly impossible feat, and a touch of embarrassment that months of intensive scientific study had been outdone by a plumber with a paperclip. But mostly, she felt a surge of pride. In that moment, Jack O'Neill had embodied the very essence of humanity. The ability to think outside the box, to approach problems from unexpected angles, and to achieve the impossible through sheer determination and creativity. "Well," Samantha said, straightening her back and addressing the stunned crowd, "it seems we have a new mystery to explore. Jack, how would you like to join our team?" Jack's grin widened. "Beats fixing toilets. I'm in." As they prepared to venture into the unknown depths of the obelisk, Samantha couldn't help but feel that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. Humanity had just proven itself on a galactic stage, and she had a feeling this was only the beginning. Little did they know that Jack's simple act of percussive maintenance had set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the galaxy and humanity's place in it. The obelisk was more than just an alien artifact. It was a gateway, a key to a vast network that spanned the cosmos. And humanity, with its unique blend of ingenuity and audacity, was about to take its first steps into a much larger universe. The breakthrough. The corridor stretched before them, bathed in a soft, pulsating light that seemed to emanate from the very walls. Dr. Samantha Chen led the small expedition team into the depths of the obelisk, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Behind her, Jack O'Neill whistled softly, his ever-present grin somehow both reassuring and infuriating. "You know," Jack said, breaking the tense silence, "I once got stuck in a maintenance shaft on Titan. Cramped, dark, and colder than a polar bear's toenails. This is downright cozy in comparison." Ambassador Zixth, who had insisted on joining the exploration team, emitted a series of bioluminescent pulses that Samantha had come to recognize as the Aetherian equivalent of an exasperated sigh. "Your species' penchant for irreverence in the face of the unknown is perplexing," it said. Samantha suppressed a smile. "It's a coping mechanism, Ambassador. Humor helps us deal with stress and fear." As they ventured deeper into the obelisk, the corridor began to change. The smooth walls gave way to intricate patterns and what looked like control panels. Samantha's hand hovered over one, her scientific curiosity warring with caution. "I wouldn't touch that if I were you, Doc," Jack said, suddenly serious. "Last time I messed with alien tech without knowing what it did, I ended up with blue hair for a month." Before Samantha could respond, the corridor opened up into a vast chamber. The team gasped collectively at the sight before them. In the center of the room stood a massive, crystalline structure, pulsing with energy. Surrounding it were what appeared to be workstations, their surfaces covered in holographic displays showing star maps and complex equations. By the cosmic harmony, Ambassador Zixth whispered, its bioluminescence flickering rapidly. This is beyond anything we've ever encountered. Samantha approached one of the workstations, her trained eye quickly picking up patterns in the unfamiliar symbols. This is incredible, she breathed. These equations, they're describing spatial folding on a scale I didn't think was possible. Jack, meanwhile, had wandered over to the central crystal structure. He circled it slowly, his brow furrowed in concentration. "You know," he said, "this reminds me of something. Back when I was working on the Mars colony, we had this old reactor. Finicky thing, always on the fritz. But there was a trick to getting it going." Before anyone could stop him, Jack reached out and placed his hand on the crystal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum that quickly rose in pitch, the entire chamber came to life. Holographic displays burst into vibrant color, filling the air with swirling galaxies and pulsing energy patterns. "Jack!" Samantha exclaimed, torn between amazement and exasperation. "You can't just go around touching alien technology." But her protests were drowned out by a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Welcome, inheritors," it said, in a language that somehow everyone could understand. "You have awakened the Nexus. Please state your primary directive." The team looked at each other in shock. Ambassador Zixth was the first to recover. "I am Ambassador Zixth of the Aetherian Collective. We seek knowledge and understanding of this technology." There was a pause, then the voice spoke again. "Query not recognized. Aetherian Collective not registered in database. Please restate primary directive." Samantha stepped forward. "I am Dr. Samantha Chen of Earth. We are explorers, seeking to understand the universe and our place in it." Another pause. "Query recognized. Earth, designation. Emerging species, status. Potential inheritors. Initiating orientation protocol." Suddenly, the holographic displays shifted, coalescing into a single massive image of the galaxy. Countless points of light were connected by a web of glowing lines. "You stand within a nexus point," the voice explained, "one of many spread throughout the galaxy. We are the legacy of the precursors, creators of the Starbridge network. Our purpose, to connect, to explore, to shepherd the growth of young species." As the implications of this revelation sank in, Jack let out a low whistle. "So what you're saying is, we've just stumbled onto the galaxy's subway system." The voice paused, as if processing this analogy. Simplified, but essentially correct. The Starbridge network allows near-instantaneous travel between nexus points. It was created to foster cooperation and growth among species ready to join the galactic community. Ambassador Zixth's bioluminescence had gone into overdrive, patterns shifting faster than the eye could follow. But why have we never encountered this network before? The Aetherian Collective has explored the galaxy for millennia. Access is granted only to those who demonstrate both the technological capability and the wisdom to use the network responsibly, the voice replied. The obelisk on this world was a test, designed to assess potential inheritors. Samantha's mind was reeling. And we passed this test. How? There was a hint of amusement in the voice's response. The final activation required a combination of advanced scientific understanding and unconventional problem-solving. You have demonstrated both. Jack grinned, twirling his paperclip between his fingers. See, sometimes you need a scientist, and sometimes you need a guy who knows how to improvise. As the team absorbed this world-changing information, Samantha felt a surge of pride and excitement. Humanity, despite all its flaws and struggles, had proven itself worthy of joining a galactic community. They had unlocked a door to the stars, not through overwhelming technological might, but through a uniquely human combination of scientific rigor and creative thinking. So, Jack said, clapping his hands together, who's up for a little galactic road trip? Samantha laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber. It was absurd, terrifying, and exhilarating all at once. They stood on the brink of a new era for humanity, one filled with endless possibilities and unknown challenges. As if sensing their thoughts, the voice spoke again. Caution is advised. The galaxy is vast and not always benevolent, but you have proven yourselves capable. The journey ahead will not be easy, but it will be extraordinary. Samantha looked around at her team. The brilliant but perplexed Etherian ambassador, the grinning human technician with his lucky paperclip, and felt a swell of determination. Whatever lay ahead, humanity was ready to face it. "Well then," she said, squaring her shoulders, "I guess it's time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy. Let's see where this starbridge can take us." Little did they know that their adventure was just beginning. The activation of the Nexus Point would send ripples across the galaxy, alerting both allies and potential adversaries to humanity's emergence on the cosmic stage. The human spirit of exploration, innovation, and determination was about to be tested on a scale they had never imagined. The journey. The starbridge hummed with energy, its crystalline structure pulsing with an otherworldly light. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before it, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Behind her, a small team of Earth's finest scientists and diplomats waited, along with Jack O'Neill, who was absently fiddling with his now famous paperclip. "You know," Jack said, breaking the tense silence, "I once rode a roller coaster on Europa that made my stomach do backflips. Somehow, I think this is going to top that." Ambassador Zixith, who had decided to accompany the human expedition as an observer, emitted a series of bioluminescent pulses that Samantha had learned to interpret as a mix of excitement and nervousness. "The Etherian Collective has dreamed of such technology for eons," it said. "To think that your species, so young in the cosmic scale, would be the key to unlocking it." Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself. "All right, team. Remember the briefing. We're ambassadors now, not just explorers. Our actions will shape humanity's place in the galactic community. Let's make first contact something to be proud of." With a nod to the control center, Samantha gave the signal. "It's working," Samantha exclaimed, watching as the station's systems came back online one by one. "We're restoring control." With a final burst of effort, they managed to stabilize the station's orbit and evacuate the trapped researchers. As the crisis subsided, a palpable sense of relief and accomplishment filled the chamber. Zephiria's form glowed brightly, radiating what could only be described as pride. "In mere hours, you have accomplished what our finest minds could not in days. Your species' ability to improvise, to think beyond established parameters, is truly remarkable." Samantha looked around at her team, seeing the same mix of exhaustion and exhilaration on their faces that she felt. They had faced their first galactic-scale challenge and emerged victorious. More than that, they had proven that humanity had something unique and valuable to offer to the cosmic community. "Well," Jack said, twirling his paperclip with a grin, "I guess this means the galaxy isn't ready to kick us out just yet." As laughter filled the chamber, Samantha realized that this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and while the path ahead would undoubtedly be filled with challenges, she had no doubt that the human spirit of innovation, determination, and adaptability would see them through. The journey ahead promised to be the greatest adventure in human history, and they were ready to face it head-on. The legacy. 10 years had passed since humanity's fateful first steps into the galactic community. Dr. Samantha Chen stood at the observation deck of the newly christened Earth Embassy on Concordia, the bustling capital world of the galactic conclave. The view before her was breathtaking, a cityscape that blended the architectural styles of 1,000 different species, all coexisting in a harmony that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. "Penny for your thoughts, Doc," a familiar voice called out. Samantha turned to see Jack O'Neill sauntering towards her, his hair now streaked with gray, but his eyes still twinkling with that same mischievous glint. "Just reflecting on how far we've come," Samantha replied, smiling. "Sometimes I still can't believe it's real." Jack leaned against the railing, whirling a familiar paperclip between his fingers, not the original one that had started it all, but a replica made of an alien alloy, a gift from a grateful species they had helped. Yeah, who'd have thought a bunch of monkeys from a backwater planet would end up shaking up the whole galaxy, huh? Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime. A holographic display materialized before them, showing the familiar energy form of Zephyria. Greetings, friends. The council is assembling for the anniversary celebration. Your presence is requested. As they made their way to the Grand Council chamber, Samantha marveled at how much had changed. Earth had become a hub of innovation in the galactic community, its unique blend of scientific rigor and creative problem-solving, proving invaluable in tackling challenges that had stumped even the most advanced civilizations for millennia. The chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of species, many of whom Samantha now counted as friends and colleagues. Ambassador Zixth, now a staunch ally of humanity, nodded in greeting as they entered. Zephyria's form materialized at the center of the chamber, glowing brightly. Esteemed members of the conclave, we gather today to celebrate a decade of unprecedented growth and cooperation. The introduction of humanity to our community has brought about a renaissance of innovation and progress. The energy beam's form shifted, displaying images of the many achievements of the past 10 years. Samantha felt a swell of pride as she saw familiar faces, Earth scientists working alongside alien counterparts, solving problems that had once seemed insurmountable. The Human Ingenuity Initiative, Zephyria continued, has revolutionized our approach to galactic challenges. From the development of new sustainable energy sources to the peaceful resolution of age-old conflicts, the human ability to think outside the box has proven invaluable. Jack leaned over to Samantha, whispering, "Did we teach the energy being air quotes, or did they come up with that on their own?" Samantha stifled a laugh, remembering how human idioms and gestures had slowly but surely seeped into galactic culture, adding a new layer of richness to interspecies communication. Zephyria's form pulsed with what Samantha had come to recognize as excitement. But perhaps the most significant impact has been in the realm of exploration. The human drive to push boundaries, to venture into the unknown, has reignited the spirit of discovery across the conclave. Images flashed by of joint human-alien expeditions venturing beyond the edges of known space, making discoveries that expanded the borders of scientific understanding. Samantha saw herself in some of those images, remembering the thrill of setting foot on worlds no sentient being had ever visited before. "It is with great pleasure," Zephyria announced, "that I present our latest joint endeavor, Project Odyssey." A new hologram appeared, showing a sleek spacecraft unlike anything Samantha had ever seen. It seemed to blend the organic curves favored by some species with the practical functionality humans preferred, creating something entirely new. Project Odyssey represents the pinnacle of our combined technological and creative efforts, Zephyria explained. This ship is designed to venture beyond our galaxy, to explore the vast intergalactic void, and make first contact with civilizations we have yet to imagine. A murmur of excitement rippled through the chamber. Intergalactic travel had long been a dream of many species, but the challenges had always seemed insurmountable. Yet here it was, a real, tangible possibility. And, Zephyria continued, a note of what could only be described as pride in its voice, in recognition of the vital role humanity has played in making this dream a reality. The conclave has unanimously voted to appoint Dr. Samantha Chen as the mission commander. Samantha felt her breath catch in her throat. She looked at Jack, who was grinning from ear to ear. "Told you they'd pick you, Doc," he said, giving her a playful nudge. As Samantha stepped forward to accept the honor, her mind raced with the implications. This wasn't just a personal achievement. It was a testament to how far humanity had come. In just 10 years, they had gone from newcomers on the galactic stage to trusted leaders, their unique perspective and indomitable spirit recognized and valued across the cosmos. "I am deeply honored," Samantha said, her voice carrying across the chamber. This mission represents not just the dreams of humanity, but the collective aspirations of all sentient beings who look up at the stars and wonder what lies beyond. We embark on this journey in a spirit of peace, curiosity, and cooperation. As applause filled the chamber, Samantha felt a profound sense of both accomplishment and responsibility. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through the very qualities that had defined our species from the beginning: creativity, adaptability, and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. The legacy of that fateful day when a simple paperclip had unlocked the secrets of an ancient alien artifact had grown beyond anything they could have imagined. It had sparked a chain of events that reshaped the galaxy, forging new alliances, advancing scientific understanding, and opening up possibilities that once seemed like mere fantasy. As the celebration continued around her, Samantha's gaze drifted back to the window, to the stars twinkling in the alien sky. Out there, beyond the familiar constellations, lay a universe of possibilities waiting to be explored, and humanity, with its unique blend of scientific curiosity and creative problem-solving, was ready to lead the way. Jack appeared at her side, following her gaze. "So, Commander," he said, a hint of pride in his voice, "ready to see what's out there?" Samantha smiled, feeling the familiar thrill of adventure stirring in her heart. "You know it," she replied. "After all, we've got a universe to explore, and a paperclip can open a lot of doors." As they stood there, looking out at the vast expanse of space, Samantha knew that this was just the beginning. The human spirit of exploration, innovation, and determination that had brought them this far would carry them to new frontiers, new discoveries, and new understandings. The legacy of humanity's first steps into the galactic community would echo across the cosmos for generations to come. The journey ahead was vast and unknown, but one thing was certain: humanity was ready for whatever the universe had in store.